leader. This is Paz Pa 2.
Good morning, I'm Renee Allen. Thanks for joining us. State police say the car belonging to Ella Goody of Scott was found yesterday. The discovery comes 3 weeks after her family first reported her missing on March 9th. News 10 Brilla Faso says who's been investigating this story from the very beginning, tells us where her vehicle was found and how police hope it could lead to crucial evidence in this case.
So they're going to continue to look through that whole vehicle on a more deeper level, other than just say looking at it and confirm, yeah, that's it. Okay, what else can we see? Is there's fibers in the carpet? Is there something within the fabric on there? Maybe we can get a fingerprint off of the upholstery, off the window, or anything like that. So we're going to continue to go through that whole vehicle, inside and out.
Louisiana State Trooper Derek Senegal says they hope any physical evidence they find in Goody's vehicle could help them piece together what happened in the time between March 9th, when Goody allegedly left Lafayette with Brandon Francisco, and now. The main question, how did Francisco and Goody's vehicle both end up in Missouri without her? And where is she now?
All these things have to be put together and continue digging to figure out, what's going on. How can we piece everything together? If there's someone else, if there is, or could be, or maybe there is someone else involved with this thing. So we just have to make sure that we continue to look and not just say, hey, we're good, we found it, and just close the case. We just can't do it that way. So we're going to continue looking and exhaust every effort that we have for this.
Trooper Senegal says there's still a lot of focus on Brandon Francisco, the person believed to have last been seen with Goody. With Francisco in custody and Goody's vehicle found, police say they hope they can narrow down where Goody may be.
I mean, a vehicle is just an object, just a thing, but we'd rather find a person wherever she's at. Of course, like I said, we find a vehicle that's good on the investigation part, and now we just have to continue with that. Like I say, sometimes those the evidence or clues lead to other things. Like I say, maybe it could just lead to her to figure out where she is.
All right, that was Britt LaFonso reporting there. Ella Goody's mom and brother are now also speaking out about this investigation into her disappearance and public comments on social media. They're asking people to stop publicly accusing people of being involved in Ella's disappearance. They've asked Village 337 to speak on their behalf.
The family is full right now with emotion, trying to understand these new developments and what they mean or what they could mean. The family is still hopeful that Ella is still alive, but right now they are worried that all of these interactions, specifically with these being reported to the FBI, reported to the Scott Police, is kind of getting in the way of the investigation that's taking place.
All right, if you have any information about Ella's whereabouts, you're encouraged to call Louisiana State Police. And as we've mentioned, Brandon Francisco is believed to be the last person to see Goody before she went missing. Reports show in 2008, Francisco was convicted of statutory rape and attempted second-degree murder. Later in 2018, he was charged with attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, armed robbery, unlawful use of a movable, and obstruction of justice. He was set to appear in court for these charges the day Ella Goody went missing, though he failed to show up. Francisco will have his second bond hearing Monday, and that's in Missouri. An Abbeville man is wanted for murder in the shooting death of an 18-year-old male. The shooting happened on March 18th on Clover Street. Authorities say Freddie Gomez Soto of Abbeville was shot in the head. He died nearly 2 weeks later from his wounds. Police are looking for Gary Turner Jr. He's wanted for second-degree murder in the teenager's death. Authorities say Turner is considered armed and dangerous. Anyone with information is being asked to call Abbeville Police. And then this week, President Biden announced historic action in hopes of relieving pressure at the gas pump. He plans to release 1 million barrels a day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and initiate use it or lose it policy so that petroleum companies have to start producing on federal leases or pay fees. News 10's Neil Durang brings us reaction from Louisiana oil and gas experts on this.
I'm authorizing the release of 1 million barrels per day for the next 6 months.
President Joe Biden called the U.S.'s largest release of the National Reserve a historic amount of supply for a historic amount of time. Louisiana Mid-Continent Oil and Gas Association President Tommy Fauché argues.
Is like a Band-Aid on a much larger problem.
He said if we want more predictable gas prices in the future, what we actually need is more consistent policy. Biden's administration has not allowed any oil and gas leases on federal land or waters, blocking any that have gotten through.
What that does is it puts the oil production that we know is possible in the Gulf of Mexico in jeopardy, because we don't know what the companies will be allowed to do in the years ahead.
But the president argues petroleum companies are sitting on 9,000 federal lands and waters permits without producing a gallon, and he wants them to be fined through a use-it-or-lose-it policy.
Those sitting on unused leases and idle wells will either have to start producing or pay the price for their inaction.
Very, very uneducated in understanding how our business works.
According to Mike Moncla, president of the Louisiana Oil and Gas Association, 76% of the current 47,000 federal leases are in use, which is the highest in history.
There's always going to be leases that oil companies purchase that they don't drill on. They got to go out and do studies and find out if there's oil below.
That was Neil Zarang reporting there. The 1 million barrels a day for the next 6 months will have an effect on prices, but time will only tell by how much and how soon. The Lafayette Parish School Board approved multiple proposals in an effort to solve the teacher shortage. All include better pay there. LPS approved a 2% pay increase for all employees, plus an additional 4.7% increase for crafts and trade professionals. Those include custodians, cafeteria workers, electricians, and plumbers. Proposals were also approved to attract and retain teachers at 12 schools. Those 12 schools are listed on your screen for you right now. Also approved during the meeting a recruitment stipend of $5,000 to attract new teachers to teach at one of the 12 identified schools. A returning stipend of $5,000 to existing teachers who are returning to an identified school. A retention stipend of $4,000 for any returning transfer or new teacher hired to remain at these schools. A qualifying teacher may be eligible for multiple stipends. However, certain eligibility requirements must be met there. For most school districts, it is getting more difficult to fill these classrooms with teachers. St. Landry School Board member Anthony Stanberry says it is a time to fight to put educators back in the classrooms, and he's ready to take that fight to the state level. Louisiana needs 2,500 more teachers, we're told, to close the gap at teacher shortages. Stanberry says a big problem fueling this teacher shortage is salary. Louisiana lags in average teacher pay.
We need to reach out to our legislatures, Bessie Board, State Department of Education. It's just so many things, so many hurdles that we have to cross in the educational realm in order to continue to educate our children.
Stanberry says the shortage crisis is impacting the entire education system, starting with day-to-day instruction. He says they're having to expand classroom sizes to accommodate that shortage. A Karen Crow police officer is being recognized for saving a man's life. As News 10's Mark Rigsby reports, the man was having a medical emergency when an officer stepped in.
This is a story about a Karen Crow police officer who was called to an emergency situation, and he arrived just in the nick of time to help save a man's life. It was the morning of February 23rd. Vanessa Landry of These Sitter Services went to check on one of her clients, Leo Williams, who is homebound.
He was dying. He literally was going to die if nobody had come at all that day.
Officer Orrin Haydell rushed to the home on Crochet Street. The doors were locked, so the officer went to a back window to get inside.
I immediately turned him on his side to clear his airway, provide some immediate first aid until the ambulance could arrive.
In salute of his quick actions, These Sitter Services awarded this special plaque to Officer Haydell for saving Mr. Williams.
You know, we don't get into the job for the recognition, and I sure don't, but it is nice to receive it every once in a while.
Officer Haydell was humble when accepting this recognition. He says any other officer would have done the same thing. In Karen Crow, Mark Rigsby, KLFY News 10.
Mr. Williams did not want to appear on camera, but he says he's grateful for those who came to the rescue. And checking in with Trevor, Sonia, speaking of coming to the rescue, some nice weather for us up ahead, hopefully.
Yeah, some pretty nice weather today. Could see a few showers this morning, and then we could see more showers coming for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So we're in the 50s this morning, 58 in Lafayette, 60 in New Iberia, 54 in Opelousas. We have satellite that shows a few storms now across coastal waters, and some of these could try to work northward through the morning. So I'll keep rain chances at around 30%, but zooming on out here, you can see some rain moving across Texas as well. So again, enough to keep that 30% chance for showers in the forecast for this morning, but we will be clearing out later this afternoon, and temperatures will be rising and through the 60s and into the 70s, could even be near 80 degrees for a high later today. Future track shows more of the showers and storms south of the coast, so that's why I'm not going with high rain chances. Only 20-30% for this morning, because I think most of it will remain offshore, and then mostly sunny skies continuing for this afternoon. Now for tonight, we have clear skies, maybe some fog showing up on the model here, and then for tomorrow afternoon, the sunshine will continue. I really don't see this pattern changing much until Monday and Tuesday. That's when more rainfall could begin to work into the area. So we're in the 50s this morning. We rise into the upper 70s, lower 80s later this afternoon. In the upper 50s to near 64 tonight. And then for tomorrow, even warmer in the low to mid 80s. I tell you what, we definitely have some warm temperatures coming ahead. You'll see that next week. Northeasterly winds at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For today, winds fairly light. For tomorrow, we'll keep the northeasterly winds early in the day, more of an east to southeast wind during the afternoon, and the wind fields will be shifting and changing here by tomorrow night, and by Monday, winds will be coming out of the south as a warm front will be lifting northward. So here's that impulse moving in today. Not particularly strong, but maybe strong enough to produce a few showers across the region early today. And then zonal flow west to east for tomorrow, giving us nice weather. Here's our next system showing up. Warm front lifts northward across the area Monday, and we could see a storm system Tuesday. Some strong winds in the atmosphere. Could see a round of severe weather. We'll have to wait and see how it shakes out. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we have northwesterly flow coming back into the area. Here's a GFS model. Rainfall working northward on Monday. Could see some storms on Tuesday, and then it moves out by Tuesday night and Wednesday, and it looks like the nice weather will resume for the end of next week and for next weekend. So 79 your high today. Morning showers, but sunny in the afternoon. Northeasterly winds at 5 to 10. 7-day forecast shows nice weather tomorrow. Rain chances increasing Monday and Tuesday. Warm temperatures on Wednesday. And then a nice stretch of weather Thursday and Friday with highs in the 70s and sunshine.